I don't think much of Clive Palmer or his idiot sidekick Craig Kelly, which is why it's been really weird to get so many messages from people across the country who've liked something I've said in Parliament or something I've done in the community, saying, why don't you join forces with that Clive Palmer bloke? You know, he looks like he's on the side of everyday Australians. At first I thought it was spam, right? But then I realised that these are genuine questions. People genuinely are asking, and some people think Clive Palmer's an everyday Australian. Well, I reckon they deserve an honest response. I believe what Clive Palmer and Craig Kelly are doing is downright dangerous. Like 14 million Australians, I am sick to death of Scott Morrison's lockdowns. I'm frustrated. Everyone's frustrated. But I also don't want thousands of my fellow Australians to die from a disease that they can avoid. We have to get our vaccination rates up. That's what the scientists tell us. That's what the doctors and the nurses tell us. Not crap you read on the internet and stuff fed to you by politicians. Which is why it makes me so angry to see these fools spreading misinformation. Clive Palmer is not an everyday Australian. He's one of Australia's richest, most privileged men. He's a billionaire. He was a member of the Queensland Liberal Party and one of their biggest donors for years. He's a failed politician. He got elected for a term to Parliament and his community in a Liberal seat voted him out because he didn't do the job properly. These guys are engaging in the cheapest form of politics just to get attention and votes. But the question, I urge people to switch on our brains and ask. You find your own answers. But this is my view. Ask yourself why. Why is Clive Palmer doing this? Why would one of Australia's richest blokes spend tens of millions of dollars of his own money? Well, this stuff ain't cheap. Remember this? Or this one? Or the newspaper ads? Millions of these leaflets have been dropped to my electorate and communities right across Australia. Not once, but over and over again. And now they've started on the newspaper ads with the little QR codes. This stuff costs tens of thousands of dollars. And it comes day after day. And then the text messages, driving Australians mad. Why? Why would he spend this money? The Health Department is now looking at suing him for spreading misinformation. You've got to look at this. He spent $80 million. Clive Palmer spent $80 million at the 2019 election. He didn't win a seat. He didn't win a Senate seat. And yet he looked like he'd won the lottery. He achieved his objective. He got Scott Morrison re-elected. His whole operation was a giant preference machine to take a few votes from Labor and the Liberal and then shovel them back with number 2 votes to Scott Morrison and the Liberals. They are Liberals at heart. Craig Kelly was Scott Morrison's captain's pick at the last election to stay in Parliament. He's a Liberal. Clive Palmer was in the Liberal Party. A vote for Clive Palmer is a vote for Scott Morrison. Peter Dutton admitted only a few weeks ago that Clive Palmer's a friend of his and he knows that Clive Palmer would want to see the government re-elected. We had former Liberal ministers admitting after the election on their secret little WhatsApp chats that were leaked that Clive Palmer helped them get re-elected. He was critical to their operation. This is also part of a weird fight, a wacky fight in the right-wing populist stakes in Australian politics. He's having a crack at Hanson's voters. You know, Pauline Hanson, the Aussie battler, the professional politician. She's been a politician for 4 times as long as I have. She's been in Parliament, first elected in 1998, last millennium, last century. Remember, she even went to jail at one point in an argument over electoral funding. We've got the idiot freedom rallies that these people are supporting. You know, freedom to spread a deadly disease to your family and your mates. Well done. You know, pushing horse parasite treatment, ivermectin, as some kind of cure for COVID. Saying that the vaccines are experimental, even when they're saving millions of lives. And peddling that appalling lie that COVID is no worse than the flu. Well, try telling that to the doctors and the nurses, risking their own health and lives in the hospitals every day to save Australians' lives who've got this disease. You know, they say to me, we're getting to the point where we're going to have to make choices between who gets saved in ICU and gets the Rolls-Royce treatment to save their life. Is it going to be the guy coming out of surgery or the woman in the car accident or the person who suffered an incident at work? Or is it going to be the person who didn't get vaccinated and got themselves a deadly disease that they should have avoided? Well, I say they should be last in the queue. That's the honest truth of it. That's why I can't stand what Clive Palmer is spreading. This is all just a political game to these people, and where they can make a bit of money on the way through. Hey, why not? We'll get some taxpayer funding for our elections. I mean, Clive Palmer even got paid $40,000 of taxpayers' money by Scott Morrison over the Western Australian High Court case. That's more money than a pensioner couple get in an entire year. It makes my head explode. So when people ask me, well, why don't you join forces with Clive Palmer? That's why. I'm a Labor MP. I believe that we can make our country fairer. I do not share their values, and I don't believe most Australians share their values. So I say to people, please, get past the anger. Use your brain. Now, some people I know will fall for this. This is not amateur stuff. This is heavily researched. This has got research and market research and propaganda and advertising behind it. I don't believe billionaires should be able to buy Australia's democracy. So let's be really clear. A vote for Clive Palmer is a vote for Scott Morrison. I urge you not to be fooled by this.